But when I came back and my family was there, it was made, you know, like the room handed here, you had no doors, so we made a double wall, very strong wall, and from upstairs where the bedroom, they opened up, they made an opening. They shouldn't see it, hard with steps to go down. Professional people made it, you know, not all people. Every family had a bunker. If they didn't have a double wall, they made it underground. So
When did you prepare this bunker?
this maybe 2 months before.
You knew
They
that
knew
this was
it already.
happening?
Maybe 3 months before, because they were prepared. They knew what's happening. They knew they're burning people.
How did you know?
Yeah, people came back. They jumped. I know a man. He's alive in Los Angeles. He was in Treblinka. He and a friend of mine, Yitzhak Bostein. He was there. They selected him when he came. The first action, when they took me. He was there and they picked those two people to work by the clothing. When people came there, they told them to get undressed, to take off the clothing. So they worked, and then they put them in, they told them to take showers. They went into the room and they guessed it. And it was a horrible thing to see it, you know. And those two boys worked by the clothing, to pack him, to ship it. One day, they worked there maybe 2 weeks. They loaded the clothing. Somewhere, nobody saw it, and they burned themselves on the wagons, you know. It was open wagons. You just had the plendeck, you know, a cover to cover the clothing. They shipped it to Germany or whatever, and they burned themselves. On the way, they jumped and they came back to Lickaway. So one boy survived. I spoke to him. He lived somewhere in Los Angeles. He was not from Lukov. He was from Suwalk, you know. And he knew it. He knew it. But how long could you? All those houses and those bunkers. Then the following week, a week later, they made another action number 2, and my parents were taken out. A guy, he was a chimney cleaner, Yuzek was his name. He worked for the Gestapo. He knew all the houses. He came in to people to clean the chimneys. He knew, and he broke with the hammer. He broke the wall with a big thing. And he took my family out, and they took him that day. A week later, Monday or Tuesday, they took him, and was left my brother Gershon and his wife and his sister and Getzel and 2 more children from the little ones, Avumale, and I think Motrios was left.
So where did they take your parents?
To Treblinka.
Where did they go first?
They took him to the trains and they took him to Treblinka. As a matter of fact, I met a man who was in Wagen with my father. When people jumped, my father said, "You're not allowed to jump. According to the Jewish law, you're not allowed to commit suicide. If a person commits suicide, you understand what I mean? If a person kills himself, he hangs himself, but he doesn't have the other world anymore when the Shoah comes." So I knew that there were guests in Treblinka. They died there. Then
When was the last time you saw your father?
last time in 42, maybe 2 days before, or I used to come in at night and go and buy things, you know. I didn't want to stay in the house. Something was chasing me.
Did you say goodbye to your parents?
No, I never said goodbye to them. I never said goodbye. I didn't. Did I know what to say? I just went. I had money, I had money in my pocket. I didn't need it. I went out the ghetto, and I could buy. They couldn't go out. I went out and I brought things what they need. I brought at night. I went to the well. I brought them. They should have water. And then one day they took him away. My brother was remained with 2 children. Then
Was there a wire or a fence around the ghetto?
no, the ghetto wasn't made yet. Then after they made the ghetto, they made the wires. Then maybe 2 days later, my Gershon was taken, and my sister-in-law and his wife with the 2 children, with Abumale and Notre Yosef. So my sister-in-law jumped from the train with her sister. My Getzel mate, he was the only one. He was somewhere else, they didn't take him. He remained. And she jumped and she went from the train. She was shot through the left arm. She was bleeding, and she was pregnant. She lost baby. She was bleeding all the way, walking to Likeve. And one day somebody came and she walked into that German firm where they worked chickens, and they took her in. She saw a doctor, I don't know how, yeah, and they bandaged her arm, and she was there a few days. And then they kept her there hiding. She wasn't officially working there, you know. And then she came back to the ghetto, and they took her room somewhere. My father, the Pulse, where she lived, and they took her room, and they had double bunkers there. Was there my sister-in-law, her sister, my brother Getzel, myself, a cousin of mine, my mother's sister, daughter, Surale, Horowitz, and noch a cousin, a man he lived in Warsaw, Leiber Glasschneider. How many people? About 7, 8. They had beds, they put up bunkers, and then they riot the ghetto. Like one little street was left, maybe 2,000 people. This was maybe already 3 weeks after Silverstory, 4 weeks. The second week, after the second action, I saw a burning of the Savatoyos and what I told you before.
Where did they do it? In the middle of the city?
In the middle of the big, you know, that had that big space like a parking place. And I saw the fire burning for days.
The Germans just took out the Sifrei Torah?
They took everything, and they told maybe Jews to take it out.
Did anybody try to save any Sifrei Torah?
Man took out the Savatoyos. They said they had it back, go at Savatoyos. Yeah. He brought it here. And then he finished it. When he made the seals, Savatoyos, he gave it to a shul in Flatbush, made in Hirschberg. He survived me. He's not alive anymore. He died last year. Yeah, so I was going to tell you, where was I?
We were talking about the ghetto.
Yeah. Then they divided the ghetto. The Germans had people taking out all the Jewish properties, furniture, clothing, china, whatever it was, from all the whole city to the big synagogue, like a big warehouse. It was a tremendous shul. It was a beautiful shul. You can't imagine the beauty, the birds and the violins and all the instruments. A painter, special painter, to build a shul, millions. It was a beautiful. It was built in the 1800. I knew the painter, Mzhicha. He was a tremendous artist. And they brought all the things. They had people, Jewish people, instead of taking them to the shade, to probably.
Was it a wood shul? What kind of a shul was it? Was it made out of wood?
No, it was a brick shul. Brick with hole,
Describe
and
the
next
shul.
to it,
Describe the shul. I'd like to hear
yeah,
about the shul.
and next to it was a big shul by Samedrish, a studische by Samedrish, that people see them. If you didn't, my father, I davened in Stiebel, they had many, let's say, this and this time. My father went to learn 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they davened was 6:30, 7. You know, they had only one menu. There was a Stiebel had maybe 40, 50 misspelling. But in the Besmedrash, they davened till 11 o'clock. It was menunin all the time, in the morning, at night, and then right there and there. And then in the left, then the other side was another Besmedrash. Then to the left was a big building where the yeshiva was.
What was the name of the yeshiva?
Likava yeshiva, Getzel Manishis was the yeshiva. And then next to this building was a part of it was the Banos, the for girls.
Do they have a special school for the girls?
Yeah, Banos, yeah, to learn, you know, the girls who went to public school, and then they went to Bas Yaakov. And in that building was the Aguda, Tziragadis also. You know, my brother was a member also, Gershon, you know, was in...
Were you also a member?
No, no. And so they had people, it took weeks and weeks to take out all the things. And the Goyim came, Gentiles came to load, you know, they tore out from the houses, the doors, the floors, the windows. It was like a destruction of a city. You come in a city, you see a house, everything is torn out. You see a shell. You understand, like you remodel a house, and that's the way all the houses looked. Our house was a brick house, a double, upstairs and downstairs. There was nothing there. There was no windows. It was nothing, no, even when we were in the ghetto. When they made the ghetto, we used to go and tear out wood to cook a little water. They didn't have nothing, you know. They didn't have nothing. And that's how they formed the wider ghetto. Yeah. And then they made another action. And then they took me and my brother. They took them to maybe 500-600 people. They took us to the train. We came to the train, there was no train. So they put us in the fabricated houses. And the, you know, baracken where military people, Germans used to stay. So now it's the end. What do you do? They had double-deckers beds, you know, people ran to get beds. I didn't. I had a spoon in my boots. I was wearing beautiful boots, you know, and I kept my brother, and the Ukrainer went around. I took that spoon, and in the middle of the barack, I was digging and made, you know, underneath, you know, it was standing on sand on the ground, grass, and I made it round. I should be able to get my head through, but not outside, only inside. And I could see that I made a space that I could shove myself through flat. Then I said to my brother, you go first. He said, no, you. I gave him a flask. I'll never forget that, what I did. I gave him a patch. I said, when you go, I go after. When you go out. When you stick your head out, you look on both sides to see where they are. When he goes around, then you crawl a few feet, and you crawled. I went out. Another couple of people, they crawled, they escaped, and they came behind the city again. They went on a Boydenstiefel, in a wolf where Jewish people used to live. They stayed there a couple of days. One boy went out to buy some food, and he stayed there. then they came into the ghetto again. It was nowhere to go. It was nowhere to hoot, to yell, to Hashem. Who could you, what could you do? There was nothing to do, you know. It was, you couldn't, it was, you were helpless, you know. And so they came into the ghetto and they made a ghetto. Again, that's the time they buy it. You couldn't go out anymore.
Was there a gate to go back and forth?
Not gate. It was a gate, but with wire this way. But I did go out.
How did you get out?
I got out. I looked like a shaggy. I was dressed that well. That, you know, I had a nice jacket, and you know, I went out. I went to Goyim. I sold them. I had things to sell, clothing, whatever they had. I sold them vodka. I had, some people had to. I had to. They had to eat. My brother couldn't do it. My sister-in-law wouldn't let her, and then I had to leave 2, 3, 4, leave 6 people. They had to buy, even they didn't cook. Sometimes they used to make a little warm water.
How did they cook?
On wood, you know. They had, like you see, a stove, but the stove was made from bricks, and they had underneath you put in the wood, and the fire came out, and that's how you cook. That's the way, that's life. That's the way people were living. I mean, you people don't realize how good we have, and they take everything for granted. They come in, they switch a light, they turn the gas, and you have put the, you know, that's life. That's the way it was, and it was the way it was. It was sweet like sugar. Life was so good. You can't imagine the life, this satisfaction, the way they lived. In a village, even people, how they lived. They peeled potatoes not with a peeler, but a knife, you know. And they cooked, they ate. A family of 5, if they had a half a pound of meat, was good. You had a plate of potatoes with a little gravy, with a piece of meat like nothing. It was delicious. It was such a beautiful life, and it was destroyed. So they were 6 months in that. It was a winter. It was a winter, cold. They didn't have heatings. They slept in the clothing. They had to go out, like outside and get them from our houses. Our fence was torn off already. To chop a piece of wood, you know, and to make a fire, to make a little do. Anyway, they were there 6 months. They brought in people from villages. They brought in from Shivdi one night, a Friday night. They brought them into the jailhouse. It's called the Magistrat. And they shot all the people. They brought them in. They could hear the shot. And then in the morning they had to go and take the bodies and take them to Malzenhof and bury them. They buried them with the clothing, everything. No. So this was in 19...
The Chevra Kadisha still existed?
What?
The Chevra Kadisha still existed?
So it wasn't the Chevra Kadisha.
Whoever was there?
They just buried the people. It was nothing, no Tari. When this started, it was no Tari. It was no Chevra Kadisha. They get a group of people to pick up the deads. Some dead people laid for days. For days, 2, 3 days. Yeah, I want to tell you what I said before. A woman was walking when they took the people to the Hazamark. I have to go back. And a woman dropped their child. She couldn't carry her. She gave her, I was a little boy. He gave her the bottle. She took a bottle with milk and gave the child. The child dropped the bottle and went into the garden. Well, they walked in the middle and it rolled. The child ran to pick up the bottle. The German bent over and kicked it, and he kicked the child. The woman looked that she wanted to go back. The mother, he put the gun. So she walked away, and then they shot her, the child. The child was dead with kicking, just one kick, you know. I mean, can you imagine a scene to see like this? Huh?
And they killed a woman?
Okay. And so I go back for, they were there 6 months. It was Pesach. They baked matzahs.
Where did you get the flour?
People had, they bought flour. They had, some people had big ovens, you know. In Europe, everybody by us, where the kitchen, where the stove was, near the stove, they had you know, taking out steps to go down, and they had the oven to open up. They heated the oven with wood, and then you put it in, you baked. They baked challahs, they baked matzah, they baked cakes, and so they had to find a place where it was, and they baked matzahs. I had matzahs for Pesach.
How many people were left in the ghetto at this point?
The last time, maybe with people, maybe 1,200. That's all, from all, 22,000 people.
Were there any?
And maybe more. The figures, it was impossible, because people came in unknowing. Every day you had other people jumping from trains, jumping from different, you know, people you didn't even know. That when I was in the woods, you had people from Nashelsk, from Suval, you had people from Lodz, you know, people came. So it was like May the 1st, May the 2nd, they surrounded the ghetto. They surrounded the ghetto. So what I did, at that time, that Shlomo Rothborn, the policeman, he said to me, Italy, I have a bunker in my house. And he said, when something happens, I want you to go there. I was laying in one room with 8 people. It was a bigger house. You go through. And I went there, when they surrounded, they started to shoot. I went, I put my sister-in-law, her sister, Leibov plus Schneider, my brother Getzel, and all the, you know, everybody, and I covered them. It was in a closet, like this closet. Inside, you open the door. Inside, you went through under the back. And I figured people did. And I went on the roof. I wanted them to be safe. And I went it avoided by myself. Half an hour later, I heard the screaming. And they took him out from the bunker. And I never saw them anymore. I was left there in a plain open roof. I come down. I see a man shot laying down. He was a man from Warsaw. He used to come to the ghetto to buy from people. A Jewish man. He had Irish papers. He had Christian documents that he is not a Jew. He used to come in and buy gold, you know, Russian rubles. Whoever wanted to sell, you know.
Do you remember his name?
And he came, he got stuck. And the toilets, was outside. He didn't have a toilet in the house. So what he did, he went down, he dropped his pants, excuse me the expression. He was sitting, when the German opened the door. He said, "Ich bin kein Jude nicht," like this, with those words. He shot him right away, he fell outside. He was laying with his pants down. His pants, he had probably so much gold in his shoes, you know. I saw him laying there. I left. I didn't know where to go.
Do you remember his name?
I was what?
What was his name?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think I knew his name, but I knew seeing him coming into the ghetto to the riots. There was a restaurant the ghetto people made. He used to come in and eat. And where do I go? So I went across the street, on the street where he lived, through houses away. The house of my roof I couldn't go up because it was everything torn. The leather wasn't there. I went next to, they called them Yankee Kratzer, a nickname, and I went up on the roof and I met was 3 people there. One is alive. Was Ursel Prangler, Moshe Miller, and a man around the block from me. He was a son-in-law, Batoya Rossi. He was a tailor. I fell asleep, and my friend Prangler and Miller, good friends, I fell asleep and they left me. They went away. I wake up. Is that man there? They there all day till the next day. The shooting was still going around in the street. Excuse me. He said to me, he came from a village, from, I just said it, village was, he said, I know the goyim, you want to come with me, maybe a little time. I said, oh well. At night he went down, he went through the city, behind the city of Shalitz or something, and he came to the city. And he came there, he met goyim that he knew him. And while this, Shkutzim started to chase us with birds, like I mentioned before, and he started running. He ran through that, and he grabbed the peels. They were hungry. A few days, 2-3 days, they didn't eat, no. And he grabbed the peels and running and eating. Can you imagine? Like the instinct, like an animal. Not like, it's not human. Do you run for your life and you grab peels to eat? Finally came, where did he go? He went back to look up. They went back to look up. Why they did, I don't know. They came back to the city. It was, he went into a house that it wasn't living Jews there, everything was thrown out. It was the steps up to go upstairs underneath, and they lay there. All of a sudden they see 2 people came in. A man, Walter Feldman, he was my age. I used to play soccer with him. He married a girl, she came from Warsaw to Lukavy, and he married a couple. And while they were sitting there, 2 Shkutzim come in. They come in. First they took off my boots. Took out my boots. I had 12, 10 or $15,000 with me. Zlotys, I mean, not from. And I gave them the money. My sister-in-law gave me 2 rings. She had so much jewelry. I gave them the rings. They didn't have anything. I was wearing good boots, you know. And they took the boots and they left. They didn't take us to the Germans. Good, fine. I met one of the Gentiles. I met him after the war. I didn't do anything. I wouldn't ask him to give me back because he didn't take me to the Germans. He did me a favor. You understand? So
We're going to end the tape now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, they made the ghetto. I was. They took. I finished. They took my family, my brother, my sister-in-law.
Talking about the
and
last
I came
action.
back I came back, and they were there. What do you do? They took the boots, I mentioned before, the money, and they were afraid it would break the Germans. But they were afraid they wouldn't take a chance, so we walked out. We wanted to go through the mark, you know, through the big space where business, and maybe 5, 6 young, 10, 12 years old surrounded us, and they grabbed us. Even Gentiles from the stores said, "Leave him alone." In Polish, he said to them, you know, "Dajcie mu spokój, taki porządny człowiek, you know, it's porządny chłopak." And they didn't listen. So while they were wrangling around, I pushed through and I ran. I ran all the way. It was a restaurant. They used to buy, I used to deliver soda to them. Sichorik was his name, and I ran behind the store to a barn, and I hid myself.
You were alone?
Alone. I left them. 3 people they took to the magistrate, and they were shot probably the same day. The Schutzen did that. Why? One boy worked for my father sometimes to deliver things. He was maybe 14 years old. What did he get? They used to get 5 kilo sugar for bringing a Jew. So it was late at night, maybe 12 o'clock. The woman came up to me, Mrs. Chichari. She said, "Orlinsky, you have to go. You can't stay here." The Schutzen came to look for me. She said, "Nobody's here, get away from here." And they left. If they would come into the barn, they would have seen me. It was nothing to hide. You had a wagon there, things like that. It wasn't a barn like with straw and hay and things. It was in the city, it wasn't in the farm. Where do I go? So I went to, I knew that across the street where they had the candy store was a bakery. And there was a Gentile boy. He was raised between Jewish people. His father was a janitor in a big house. And he spoke Yiddish just like, I don't know if you do, but even like I did. I said, "Yuzhek," I came in. He said, "Take me into your house." They took the apartment where my stepmother's parents lived. I said, "Take me in, keep me on the, as you see, I give you the house, I give you the factory. As a wife, it's near." He said, "My mother wouldn't do it." I said, "Give me a bread, give me something." It wasn't nothing, he couldn't give me anything. But he said to me, "I heard that Reben Bobrinker, Weissman, is in the woods, and he has you know, guns, you know, but army." I didn't know, where can I go and find Reben Bobrinker? I went in all the way behind the city, and I see a little light in a small house. I walk over there. There's a family from Kotsk that they brought in, hiding in a cellar. What shall I tell you? I was 9 days with them in the cellar. Feeding me fed us was a thing with beets in the cellar. Everybody used to get a slice of beets to take it in your mouth and to have it. 9 days I couldn't even walk. Or one night I said to me, "I must go out. I will die there with them." I go out. I go out. I see a girl walking. Girl, she was maybe 17, 18. I said, "Where are you?" She said, "I'm here in a bunker with my mother. And there are 2 people there, dead people, shown for 3 days. And I want you to do me a favor. Help me take the smell. They can't sit there. The smell is gefährlich." I had koyach. I had no koyach. She said, "I have a chain. I give you the chain." I said, "I don't need any chain." I went with her. We had to take it out from underneath a closet. I said, she went down, she lifted, and I grabbed the hands from from a dead woman, and she lifted him, and I pulled her out. Her hand was slithery, from death, and I came out. I took out one, they took out the other one, and they pulled the two deaths. They pushed them, with two hands, all the way another block, and they covered them with a mattresses. Mattresses were laying outside. It was a home. It was a disgusting thing. And I said to her, I'll see you tomorrow. And I went back to them. Tomorrow night I go out. Green Bobrinka comes into the ghetto. The two other people. Weissman. I saw him. He worked for us. I told you they hired him, and he had worked in the factory. He was a poor boy, and a very strong fella. They came in, 3 boys came in with guns. I saw this. Reuben saw me. I said I couldn't walk. They helped me. I said, I can't go. I said, I go. I saw her yesterday. I helped her take out the two mice, the two dead. I want you to go with me and see. I go in, they stayed by a man, Victor Katzet, they called him. He was a butcher. This was across the street from the other side from our house. Big family. I come there, I look in, I yell, anybody there, nobody there. The Germans, the Poles, they came from the smell from the dead. With a dog, whatever, they went and took him out. And the 2 people, they probably shot him the same day they took him to Pakistan. Never saw. And then they even took me with them to those fields, to the Zageinings, what I'm going to talk about. I couldn't even walk. Some of the boys helped me walk. The pass going there was, they had to pass the German company Ditz, where they have chickens. He said, wait here, hold the rifle. He jumped through. He went in, he grabbed Leibliche chickens, he grabbed it, he cut off like that he killed him. He cooked about 6 chickens, he threw them over the fence. They all took him, he took me to the woods, got a pail, he cooked some chicken for me. He gave me some chicken broth, to build me up. I couldn't eat, he made the chicken, a little chicken soup. After a while, I came back to myself, and he was with a group. He was with a group. They had rifles. His name was Reuben Bobrinka. The group was there. Josef Wiesner, Reuben Weissman, that's Reuben Bobrinka, that they took me out, and Yechiel Einstock, fine man. I think he lived behind us at the somewhere. And Leibel Bornstein.
Did any of them survive?
What?
Did any of those people survive?
From those people, nobody survived. I'll tell you what happened to them.
So what happened next?
What happened? Yeah, so let me continue. I come back, remind me. Reuben Bobrinka, he was a wild man, tall, red hat. He was wild to kill, And he said one day, he comes out, whoever has gold, 10 ruble, gold, he's trying to make connections with Polish partisan to go into partisan and fight against the Germans, like the Russian partisan. So I didn't have any gold. It was a chaver of mine, 2 boys, Mashar Miller and Duvet Randall. They had money, they gave him. it was a blessing that I didn't have any money. See, sometimes money helps, not always. And they made a date to meet with those Polacken. And they came there, they surrounded them and killed them. But Reuben, with another guy, they went about 6, 7 people. So Reuben with another guy from Stock managed to run away. Yeah. Wiesner and there was a Giel, and there was another guy from Lodz. They all died. And believe me, if I had money, he would have taken me also. So now I go back. Where was I? I talked about...
You were talking about having chicken soup and not being able, and getting stronger.
And it was about 200 people in that area. And that women, men, girls. We didn't have at night we had a place where we met. So they were the only ones who had rifles. And they were staying by a Gentile, you know, by a Gentile. He had his mother, Reuben, and he had his sister. And they stayed with 2 guys from Stock, and I knew to Karasik. They stayed, and they came out night after night to meet us. Sometimes he used to give me a piece of bread. He'd bring me, you know, something. They didn't have, I walked around barefooted. And the state as a Geinik was owned by a private person. It wasn't a big forest. Young trees, you know, very heavy. And they stayed there. They used to cook, make a little water, or get from the fruit a potato, tear out, and make a potato, you know, on the fire. During the day, you couldn't, if you make a fire in the woods, you don't see it, you know, heavy. During the night, you might see it. Maybe after I was like a month or 3 weeks, I said to Avram Lichtenstein was there. I said, Avram, I like to go to the cornfields. He said, no, I want to make myself water. He has a little milk or the kriegen by somebody. I picked myself up alone and go away maybe, I would say like 3, 4 blocks from here, you know, avenue blocks. And I go into a place, I go in, and I lay there without bread, without water, without anything, and lay, the sun is baking on you 18 hours, you know. I had to go in 3 o'clock in the morning. I fell asleep, and I hear an explosion. I hear an explosion, and what could it be? At night, they had a place where a wooded area, small place, and they met. The Poles from Syrian Germans came and they killed 7 or 8 people. And the night before, I picked myself up and go away. It's finished, like I had a Rech Navi, something guided me. All whatever I did, wherever I went was good. And the Geinik was, oh yeah, shaky. No, it's not this, where was it, yeah.
So you stayed in the cornfield for a little while?
I stayed in the cornfield, then I came back there, died there. I remember the people. Peltzman and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Peltzman, they had a girl working from there, a girl maybe 17, 18 from Suwalk, a refugee. She was killed. And Avram Lichtenstein, he was killed. They were shot. And Alte Gilbert and some other people, I don't know the names. Alte Gilbert has a brother in Israel. I told them the story what happened to his brother. He was a married man, he was alone, his wife and children were taken away. They were shot in that Zagainik. So and you can't go in anymore. The Germans They know, the Poles know. So we had only cornfields to stay. And there was another group in Lazostenwald, a few miles away, another bigger than this one. So there they had another group of people.
How many people were in the Zagainik area?
The Zagainik area, around maybe 100, 150 people all over. Then,
and they were all killed?
Listen, but maybe 2 weeks later, I was in another woody area, swamp, swamps with water, was laying there. And also I was sleeping at night, and I asked somebody, I don't want to stay here, you want to come? And I crossed I think I crossed the highway and I went into the cornfields. I came back at night, 22 people killed. The Germans from the Polish both sides. That was a Jezior, in that village. And they killed 22 people. Every time they killed other people. Was very few left. Then I was walking around with a boy, Mietek was his name, he was from Lodz. He was a boy from Nashelsk, and there was a boy, what's his name? He has a sister in Los Angeles, who'll come back to me. Walking around, he went to, at night, to get a little water. I drank water from a puddle, and I took a dirty schmatte to drink, where you had bugs there. It was nowhere to go. It was nowhere to go. I had a Gentile near Lukov that he knew me, and I went to him. He gave me a bread. He gave me a bread without money. That Bashar Miller was killed. He was staying by him also, And
what was the name of that Gentile?
Gentile Machnik. He's not alive as a Machnik. He was such a wonderful man. I came, he had a dog. The dog was barking, took him in. I walked. It took me maybe, going back and forwards, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. When I came, he gave me a black bread, And I came back, we shared it. Everybody, got a slice, and I used to take a slice of bread and bake it when I was late to dry it, and I had it in my dirty pocket. And then the time I was hungry, I took it on my tongue, It was a time that I didn't need any food. I was so broken in, I didn't need it. At night I went out to get water.
Where did you sleep at night?
On the ground. Either we went into a place. At one time I made a hole by a farmer at the back of the barn. They pushed away, they took out the nails, and they pushed away the boards, and they had a sack, and they took out the hay, and they put sticks in, and 3 boys, they went in, they didn't even know. They laid for quite a while. Then he felt, he smelled, he's going around, he smelled something, that something is, and they didn't go back anymore there. They were trying from one place to another. Then they went to the Lazostenwald. Then after the harvest was cut, and that's the guy I was afraid to go in. There was nowhere to go. So I was, one day, like I mentioned it to you before, I went by myself. I laid down between potatoes, low, and I laid flat like that, 18 hours like that, and it was pouring, coming down. I was laying in water, in dirt, with my clothing, everything, without shoes, without anything. It was like sundown. It was a little light. I picked myself, I said, I can't take it. I can't take it anymore. And I started walking. I walked to see, to a Gentile. I saw a little house. I said, I don't care who this is. I walked into the barn, and I laid there full of leaves. He had a cellar with potatoes there. And I laid down, I covered myself with the leaves. and I fell asleep. I woke up. I took everything off, everything. My pants, I was naked, because it was damp from the leaves, the smell. I took it off. While I'm standing like that, naked, a young girl comes and opens the door with a pail to get potatoes. And she screamed. She screamed and she ran into the house. What do you do then? I said, I'm not going nowhere. Whatever it's going to be, I could. Maybe an hour later, the woman came out. Her name was Bananas. A man, he was a shoemaker. He had one car, a couple, or maybe a 2-acre of land. Very poor man. And they brought me into the house. They set me down near a fire to dry my clothing, and they gave me a plate of potatoes with kapusta, with cabbage, with everything. They saved my... You can't imagine what they did to me.
Do you remember what their name was?
Huh?
Do you remember what their name was?
Bananas, yeah. I touched the girl who was staying in my house after the war came to. When I lived in Lordshire, I helped them with money. And from that on, I made connections. When they had things to sell, I went for her. Then, this was later on, whenever I needed bread, I came to her and she bought for us. She baked bread for us.
Did you have shoes yet?
What?
Did you have any shoes on?
No, no.
You
This
didn't
was
get the
later.
shoes?
This was later.
When did you get shoes?
This was later, I'll tell you. I don't know if I should mention it.
Let's hear it.
But
Go ahead, I'd like to hear it.
might as well. Yeah, I don't like to talk about killing and things like that. At one day, where I went to Machnik, that man who gave me bread, they came to him, not only me, a lot of boys went to him. He said there was a boy here, Aaron Prengler. He came here, Moshe Miller, the one who was killed, his father was in business with that Gentile. He had gardens, you know, vegetables, fruit. And he said that there was a guy, Yuzhik, the komiker, the chimney cleaner. He worked with the Gestapo. He helped taking out Jews. And he said if they should get in touch with, they knew that they had some underground. They thought, who knows what kind of underground they had. They didn't have anything, only Reben Bodenker, but the few people they had. So he said, our life is in danger. If he was living there were 17 Jewish people, Prenglers, there in Texas. They survived. One of the brothers was a friend of mine, Herschel Prengler. I went to see him a few months ago. The oldest brother was his 90th birthday. I went to his birthday, so I saw them. I didn't see him since I left Lukov. So if they can do anything, so the Riebenbodeke went away with a few other guys. They went to him, they knocked on the door, by the window, opened up, they spoke German, they went inside and they killed him. They killed him and they brought 5 sacks of Jewish clothing. He had a Beckische carpenter there, you know, all things. So that Riebenbodeke gave me a pair of shoes and a pair of shoes to put on. I didn't want to mention it, but it was a mitzvah to do it. You know, it was a good thing that they did. You know, his wife he didn't touch, only took the things, 5 sacks of clothing. And since then I had some, and he gave me every time something else. Then there was nowhere to go. So I was in touch with Moshe Greitzer, the one I jumped the train. I never thought that I will meet him again. they discussed it. I said, what do they do? Where are they going to stay? So came an idea that in Zagainik, where they killed the 7 people, nobody goes in. You know what? Let's go. They had a Gentile. I can't remember his name. He was living somewhere alone, like in the wilderness. For money, he would do anything. Let's make a bunker, and that's Zagainik. But we needed lumber. We needed lumber, a hacksaw, things. They carried a few nights, lumber, 4 bases, and on the top, the boats, they paid them good money, and they made that bunker. They tore out 12 trees to make that bunker, and then they planted them. They were dead, but they planted them. They made a box, in a box with sand. It was a small Zagainik with leaves. Put the leaves up. The winter came, and they got together with Edelroland and Chaim Greenbaum, Dov Chirando, Hayat Echait, Moshe Geitzer, Ferli, about 7 maybe. They got in touch with the Gentile that he's willing to keep us. The snow was coming down. It was impossible. In Europe at that time, the snow and the cold.
Did you have a coat?
No, I had just a jacket. A jacket, the pockets were torn, you know, open. I should be able to carry. I should go up. I went into a farm on a tree, and I pick apples and keep it there. They try to do so many things, you know. So anyway, that man decided, how do you pay them? They went, they had already 2 guys had rifles. And to pay him, they went to another village. They killed pig. Killed it, they cut them in 4 pieces, left the head, they took out the kishkis, and with 4 sacks they gave it. This was worth a lot of money. You couldn't get meat, particularly small farmer. They were there a few weeks. All of a sudden, one night, they hear the screaming. His brother lived not far away, and he kept Jews. Yankee Kesselbrenner's family, his mother, his brothers, his sister, the AK, the Polish resistance, came to that man that took out the Jews and killed all the Jews. The screaming. He said, you have to run, because they will come here. They killed that Gentile too. They tortured a girl to tell where the Jews are. She didn't want to tell. A girl from 13 years old. They left them, where they go. It was in the middle of the night. The snow was coming the snow was coming down so heavy, and they walked. So I said to him, you know, they walked to the...
Okay, we're going to stop now.
Well, they left that bunker, but the farmer, I'd like to mention his name. What's his name? Domansky. Domansky was his name. They left and they had nowhere to go, so we figured we will go back to that bunker they made, and that's the Zagainik where I made it with Moshe Geitzer. Also, I want to mention that Chaim Greenbaum helped us. Dov Chirandel helped us with the thing. He was very handy to make that thing. and they made for air to get from metal, you know. They walked in the snow. It was like maybe this high snow. And it was coming down so heavy, and the wind was terrible. They came there, they couldn't find the hole. They couldn't find the box. They couldn't find the bunker, the sun. They left, there was nowhere. They went back, they started, all of them, with our hands to dig, to get. They found that piece of metal. From that piece of metal, they opened up the box and they went in. It was a high room. They went inside. It was a pleasure. It was so cold. And in that bunker, they survived the war. That's where people were shot. And they went out once a week, the snow was this high, to get bread. Water they made from the snow. Not melted in a pot or something, you know. And once a week they went out to polls. It was a man, he had a rifle, Heinrich Norman. And they went to wherever they could go and buy for money. They would rather do it instead of going to a farmer and get it by force. Like I mentioned, in that type of weather, they couldn't walk to Machnik or any place. They had to go wherever they can to get bread. And
how long were you in that bunker?
they were in that bunker from the beginning of the winter till July, August 44. And then when after the winter, they stayed a while here, they went to the Rosostenwald, to this one.
Who were you with in the bunker?
What?
Who were you with in the bunker?
I was in the bunker with, Heinrich Norman, David Rendell, Avrum Pariser, Feller, Chaim Greenbaum, myself. I think Hayata Chait was also there, two women.
And everybody survived the war?
All those names all survived. But I want to tell you what happened to Regenbogenike. One night, you know, our days was nighttime. At nighttime we went out from the bunkers, from the holes. During the day, nobody could see us. So one night they went to a sunburner farm, to a farmer. They killed a chazer. And they couldn't make it back to go home. He had his family, his mother, his daughter, his sister, and they went into a farmer to stay over the day. Like the day was night. Those people went to the Germans, they brought the Germans, and they killed them. Regenbogenike died. They killed a few Germans too. They saw they can't escape, so they killed a few Germans shooting. There were 5 people, I think.
How did you know about it?
What?
How did you find out about
They
it?
knew it from the Goyim, they know. And you know what was the other group? Was another group. Was Yankel Dagerman, Jack Volland, Leibisch Baden, and a guy Ariely. It was another 2 men, I don't remember their names. And they had rifles.
How did they get the rifle?
They got it like you get, if you killed the chazer, you sold it. And for money you could buy. He had some connections that you could buy. On the end I had, before the liberation I had the rifle also. And
how did you get yours?
what?
How did you get your rifle?
From my friends. They got the extras, so they gave me, somebody gave me one rifle. So those people heard what they did. They went there one night and they poured gasoline around and they made a boiler ice and they burned them. One son escaped, the one who was involved, and they shot him. He was wounded in his leg. And they burned the whole property. A little Nikumid, you know, I did. I didn't want to mention it, but it's nothing wrong to tell what they did.
It's fine. And where did you go from there?
From where? They killed them, and when they did a thing like that, the Polish people were afraid. If I went in with Menachem Miller. They were laying in the cornfields. I'm going back. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They didn't eat. They were hungry Thursday. I had one rifle. I went into a farmer. He walked half a mile. He saw. He went in. He told him to make scrambled eggs. He gave us bread. And while they are going in, they saw the soldiers, the one who was in charge of the village. While they're eating the scrambled eggs, bells are ringing. Bells are ringing, they clapped, and 2 guys are running on horses with crosses, with knives, with this, to get us. When they came closer, I gave 1 shot. The first time I shot with a rifle, it hit me in my shoulder. I didn't even know how to shoot. It gave me a bang in the shoulder back, you know. And they start running like this. They didn't finish eating. They left. Regenbogenberger was still alive. They told him the story. A week later, he went back with another guy. He went into that Soltis. He told him about he wants to see papers. He was sitting on a chair and he killed him. He shot him. It was a good thing. And they were afraid. Next time, this before he died, next time if a boy went to a Gentile, he gave him a piece of bread. He was afraid. If they went 2 guys into a village, they thought 50 people came. You understand?
And they gave you food?
And they gave, some gave us, yeah. You had some good, I don't say it. Like the bananas that those people took me in. They saved my life. I could have died just like that, you know. So, where was I?
You were going to go back to the bunker?
Yeah, they stayed in the bunker, and they stayed a while. You know, the winter was over. It was struggle. I remember it was a Erev Yom Kippur in the bunker, and everybody got a piece of black bread and a little lump of sugar. And they had a bottle of whiskey that the farmers make. It smells. They drank a lot of whiskey. That's what saved us, not to be healthy. Everybody got a glass of this whiskey and a piece of black bread and that piece of sugar. They fasted, and they had people not religious. Everybody fasted that Yom Kippur. Then I go a little faster now. Then after...
Did you daven together
no,
for Yom Kippur?
They didn't. Yom Kippur they davened by half, whatever they could.
Did everybody
Everybody
daven
could, yeah. They said Kol Nidre, they said, you know, they davened whatever could remember.
Was that the only time that everybody davened?
I think so. I didn't daven. That's right. I was a religious boy. I left after jumping. There was no more film, no nothing. I didn't daven. I didn't know until I came to England. I didn't put film on.
And when did you get another pair of film?
I got a pair of film from somebody. I got a pair of film. The Rabbi Silver from Cincinnati came to Poland, because I was still in Poland. He gave to a boy, and that boy, he didn't want it filmed, so I gave it to me. I had a pair of film. And then after that, struggled. It was rough. If the war would have taken another 2 months, we wouldn't have made it. Not from the Germans, from the Poles. But if you went into a village, you're going back, they were shooting at us. We had to go another way already. Unbelievable. People don't know what they did to the Jews. 1 million people would have survived if they wouldn't do nothing, not to give her anything, not to bury you. And then it was July. I don't think I was in Zaganik, I was in the Lazostenwald. We were there, a lot of people.
How many people?
Greenbaum, Kreitzer, Nochter, yeah. And yeah, before I do this, I want to finish that Lieber Zaganik and Chaim Greenbaum with Norman, Heinrich Norman, remained in Lazostenwald. He went for a Gentile woman, the Roshitston. She gave him half a bread, and they were in that bunker was a couple, a married couple, Jobek, and her name was the first was Peltzman. No, that's not her.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and Chaim with Norman, they said they will sleep over the day in that Lazostenwald. And in the middle of the night, they were sleeping. They heard somebody walking, and they threw in a hand grenade. Goyim came and threw in a hand grenade. So Chaim grabbed it and he threw it out, and he ran out with Norman, and they saved, and 4 or 5 people died, and then they shot him. That's from the Poles. But now I go back. Yeah, we were there, a lot of people, maybe 8 guys, and they had speaking Russian. They sent out a boy, he was 12, 13, yet. He went, I came back, he said the Russians are here. They went out with the rifles and he told them who they are, and they stayed a couple of days. And then I go into the city by myself. I walk into the city and I cross the border, and I come in, I cross a bridge, and I go straight where the Gentile took my father's factory. Did I talk about the factory? I never talked about it. Yes? And the factory was open. I put in the boxes with the bottles, I closed up the factory, and I was going to cross the street. A Russian soldier was on a horse, and he talked. The Germans left, they throw cans, cigarette holders, mines. If you touched it, you were blown to pieces. So I go to cross the street. The Russian man with the horse touched something and killed the horse with him. I said, let me go back to the forest. It's too dangerous to be in the city. A man came back. Chil was his name. His 3 children survived with a brother. He came back, he came to the city to see his house. He stepped on a mine, it killed him. He had a gun right here, I saw him laying dead. When I walked back, I walked back to the woods. I was there a few days, and then I worked with Deutsche Kreuzer and Friday Flug. Friday Flug, oh, I didn't mention this, and Hirschberg was with us also a time. I would like to mention one thing which is very important. I was laying in the woods with Nathan Hirschberg, Jack Walland, Giel, a guy from Lodge, and a few other guys, 6, 7 guys, living on the edge of the cornfields. It was bad in the area and they couldn't stay when they killed the people. So they heard near Atzin a big forest, Rosbadov, that there are 17 people there, Jews there. So they figured they'll take a walk at night and they spend their night over there. That was a few weeks before. Then we decided we will go there and stay there because it's so bad. That the Volland and the other guy, they didn't have nothing, no ammunition. I lay in a sleep, in a deep sleep, and I wake up in a sweat. I said to them, I saw my father, I see him by the Shabbos table. And he said to me, Itzel, don't go to Rosbadov, Yiddish. Gar nicht go Rosbadov. I wake up and tell the people. They start, guys not swearing this, it's like they want to go. So Nathan Hirschberg was a yeshiva bocher, was a religious boy. They stepped out. He said to them, you know what, let's compromise, let's go another day. They agreed they shouldn't go tonight, we'll go the other. The other night, they come out from the cornfield to see a little creature, a little girl, a girl walking. She was 12 years old, Chayele, Alzina. So what happened? The Germans came and I managed to walk out and they killed everybody. Can you imagine? And I tell somebody about that dream, it's something unbelievable. That's real, that's emes, but...
So you had a lot of emunah.
So that's why I had such a... Whatever I did, wherever I went the right way. So anyway, it lasted a few days. I walked to the city with Friday Flug and Moshe Greitzer. They came into the city and I said to them, I would like to go to take a train to Brisk. My father had 2 brothers there. One was in Augustus. And I came there. I had a rifle on my shoulder. And the Russians arrested us. They kept us 48 hours. And then, without food, he explained to them. Then they let us out, and there was a Russian captain, a Jewish man, and he told them what happened. I didn't go to look for family, but nobody's alive anyway. And that Russian man, at that day they called the border, the Russian border between Poland, was in 1918, 1919. And he took us into a truck, he covered us up with mattresses, and he took us to Respol. We came back. We went into a city at Lodovy. That's where I met the Zina Rebbe. He's now a Zina Rebbe. He survived between the underground, Jewish underground. They kept him alive. He didn't do anything. Just he was like a dead man.
So did he give you a lot of chizuk?
What?
When you saw the Razina Rav,
yeah,
what was
I
it
gave
like?
him money. How did I have money? When we walked to the city, I forget. I met that Gentile who took my father's factory, Orlinsky. He saw me, and I walked with a rifle. He was shivering. He thought I will do something to him. But no way. He was good. He paid my father for a long time, till they closed you know, till he took it out from the ghetto. While he was now house with the factory, he paid my father 40%. Then he didn't. So he gave me about 12, 10, I don't know. And this money, I gave it to the Rosina Rabbi. He wasn't Rosina Rabbi yet. He was a son-in-law to the Rosina Rabbi. To the last Rosina Rabbi, he was a brother-in-law. Then he became. I gave him all the money. And from Bloodville, he went back to Partsville, and he came back to Lickeville. So I made arrangements with him. He should pay me. He should run the factory. I'm not going to run a factory in Lickeville, you know, but no, there was nowhere to stay. And I paid me 40% money I had. There was no problem. I could help people. I helped people, good people, came from Russia, came out people. I gave one girl, she lived across the street from a Lichter, I gave her $50, not Polish money. A man came from Russia, a Motel Feldman, I gave him 5,000, it's went 3. You know, I left Poland, mamish, with very little money. I didn't care to have the money.
Oh, where did you stay?
But they stayed, they had a house, they stayed, and they took a Jewish home, and they stayed there. And I had a friend, Jakel Kesselbanner. His parents had a mill. He took over, took it like the factory, what he took back from the guy in the mill. And he was, had a lot of workers. And he asked me I should stay with him. He was afraid to stay alone there. I had a gun. The rifle, I didn't carry a rifle. I went to the Polish police. They gave me permission, that a license that I'm registered, that I can carry a gun. I had a gun. Then we stayed there in Lickeville. Then I sold the business to him. He gave me 300,000 zlotys. I bought $1,000 for that. It was nothing. I had to maybe $50,000 a week, you know, 40% he gave. What am I going? I couldn't stay because a small shtetl near us, people gathered together. They came, they survived in concentration camps. The Poles came and killed them all. There's a woman here, my sister-in-law's a landsman. She had maybe 5, 6 bullets in her body, but she survived, you know. She lived somewhere in Canarsie or somewhere, you know. So I wasn't going to stay there. Then after I was leaving Lukov, a man came from Warsaw, he said, Titzele, you know what? I heard a man came, his name is Dr. Schoenfeld, Rabbi Schoenfeld. He's taken children out to England. You look very young, and you could make yourself, you know, like you say, I'm looking young, and I made myself a paper from Lodz. I went to the organization, to the committee. I have the little paper here. They gave me that I'm 16 years old instead of 26. And I registered. Another girl, Paula Finkelstein, she also registered, and I came to England. I left Poland. I had some Polish money with me. I bought a couple in Gdynia from Warsaw. Oh, I like to talk about it. Yeah, one day I came back, I was out of town. I came back to Lickeville. I had a letter, a Polish woman left a letter that my cousin, my mother's sister from Warsaw, is alive. Her name was Sarah Goldman. Her name is Godlewska. Anyway, the next day I went with another man to see her. I have a picture from her right here. And I went, I met her. I gave her, helped her with money. I gave her 10 ruble in gold. I left her to put them inside for her father. He died in ghetto, Warsaw ghetto. And came, Yeah, I spent about a cameras, whatever. I didn't want to take any Polish money, and I came to England. I came to England. We arrived. They put us in a hostel, and I was in the hostel maybe 4 days. People came to see children survivors. So some man comes over to me, and he said, "What's your name?" I said, "My name is Menachem. Menachem Yitzchak Orlinsky." He said, "You have any family in London?" I said, "I don't have it, but when I left Poland, my cousin Sarah told me that my mother told me that we have a second cousin, a name she didn't give me, but they called him by their nickname. They called him the Reuter Yossel." You understand? The Reuter Yossel guy. He said, "The Reuter Yossel? Oh, God, he's the richest man in Hatton Garden." And he went down to Hatton Garden. He took a car service. He came back. He said, he went into the office, and he said, "I want to take Menachem. I want to take him to the office." I came there. There was a man guard by the office. I come in. Their name was Rosenfeld. They were rich people. The son a doctor, son George, he wasn't married yet. And I come, they talked to me. They asked me, "Was your mother's name Darley?" Said, "Your father was a Kamashmacher, you know, shoes?" I said, "No, my father was at a factory." He said, "Your father was named Yossel." I had a cousin, my mother's cousin, her name was Darley also, named after the same. And they invited me for supper. They invited me for supper. After supper, they asked me if I wanted, I can stay by them. And I stayed by them 17 months. Yet after 17 months, then I didn't like it.
What did you do in London?
But
What did you do in London?
in London, first I went to learn a trade. You know, I stayed with them. I didn't stay in the hostel. I never got any help in an organization, nothing. I had a few dollars I brought, not much, but I didn't want to take anything.
What was the reaction when you came to London?
The reaction, something, 100, 200 pounds fell off your body. Free, no fear. If I traveled from Lukov to Warsaw, I had fear. I went to Lublin. I went to buy, I had money. I wanted to buy a $100 bill. I wanted to have American money. I had to go to a big city. Or to Warsaw. I went to see my cousin, Sarah.
Okay, we're going to end the tape now. Thank you.
When I was staying with the Rosenfelds 17 months. After 17 months, I didn't like it. You know, after all, in 1946, 47 already, I wasn't already a boy. I was, I was 27, 28 years old. I didn't like it. I had to, anyway.
Did they have any children?
They had children, grandchildren. Anyway, they could help me, but they didn't. I wanted to go into the diamonds. They could do it. They didn't help me. Anyways, I learned a trade as a furrier. I worked maybe 6 months. I left the place and I started working for myself, making haircuts for people. I got myself a lady that she worked for those people, and she allowed me to sew in their house. I made right away a polka coat for a girl. She's in the States. and I made £10 right away. You know, I didn't like it to work for somebody. Then I left. I left and I started peddling. I knew the Rosenfelds, so I had some connections in the diamond line, in the jeweler line. So I had some connections from a guy. I bought stockings, shirts, and I went factory to factory. I made in one day more than an Englishman makes in a week. You understand? I didn't want to work, to be involved in a factory, stay in a factory. Everything was right, so then I moved out. I got myself a flat in Golders Green. This was in Wilson Lane, Brunswick Park, and I stayed with Marion Rosenblum and Chaim, I don't remember his last name. Anyway, we rented a flat for £20, I think it was £20 a month. And they stayed
Where in
there.
Golders Green?
Golders Green,
Where in
Golders Green,
Golders
opposite the Hippodrome, up where the, you know,
What was the address?
West East Drive, I think it was. And then after that came 48, and Israel was established as a Jewish state. And there was a club on Finchley Road where boys and girls used to come and play table tennis, you know, to chess. So I used to go on that night to meet fellas.
Did you meet people from the group that came with you, with
What?
Dr. Schoenfeld?
Yeah, some of those boys came, the girls, you know. Then on Finchley Road was a man, Feldman, a Polish man. He was a landlord and he had girls there. So I used to go to visit some girls who came.
How were
to
you
see
received by the people in London?
In London, I was very lucky with the Rosenfelds and his friends. They used to invite me for, you know, for dinners, and it was I was really lucky to be, you know, to meet the road through accidentally by Reuten Yossel to meet. It's only at her. You know.
Were people interested in your story?
Yes, you know, I was a talker, you know. Tell them, I didn't tell them stories. I told them facts, what happened. But I couldn't, like I said for you and tell you. So, in a way, they heard that the Haganah is looking for volunteers. So I got in touch with some people, another group. There were 7 boys, and they told me to go to to get a passport. I made me an English passport, and they told us to take a visa to go to Belgium. I took a visa for 2 weeks. I came to Belgium. There were 2, 3 guys. I mean, they were military people, and they were waiting for us. They knew already we were coming. We left 7 boys, and they took us to a hotel. We slept over in the hotel. The next day, yeah, I had a cousin there. My grandfather's brother, Shmuel Fellandler, over here the picture. He is in the book here, Leidish. He left before the war. And he invited us all, and he invited us for lunch, the whole group. And he gave me a lot of money, 600 francs. He just pushed in money to me, you know. He said, take it. He has a manufacturer from ladies' bags. He was living there for years. He had a baby. It was his second marriage. His wife had a baby. And at night, the organization, the Haganah, told us to be here. They will pick us up with cars. They drove us to Paris. You needed a visa, but we went through, everything was arranged. In Paris, they took us into a bar. They gave us, they had a beer, and they put us on a train. Everything arranged to Marseille. In Marseille was a camp where they trained people for the military, for the Haganah. I was there 21 days. They gave us military training. It was tough, you know. But everybody did it with, you know.
Would you like to describe a day in the military training?
Yeah, so you can't imagine, you know, flying down from a Omega, from a tree, 300 feet, jumping on a house without anything with your feet and grab the, you know, very tough things, you know. They trained us, I did everything, whatever there was, so it was nothing too hard for me. And one day after, they had a plane for us going to Eretz Yisrael. They had a plane from South Africa, a plane for cattle, not for people. No seats. You can't imagine to sit on the floor. On the top, you had handles telling you everybody was sick, vomiting, throwing up. I laughed. I laughed. I wasn't sick and I couldn't understand what they're doing, you know. So they came to Israel.
Was it very exciting to land in Israel?
He stopped in Greece. So one guy, an English from us, he spoke Greek. He was a Sephardi, something I don't know where from, and he spoke Greek, and he started to speak. The pilot came over to the captain. He said, "Get the hell out of here." He said, "Don't say a word, don't say you understand, because in case he will tell him something about us, who we are." They had a few hundred boys, you know, they came to Israel, they arrived, took us in. Right away they gave us uniform.
Where did you arrive in Israel?
And looked, they came there, they took us to a camp. I don't remember. They took us to a camp, they gave us military package, everything, but they swore us in right away as military people.
How many people came over from London?
From London we were 7, but there was a lot of boys. They had boys from South Africa, from Paris, from all over, from Canadian, English-speaking boys, and they gave me 3 days leave to go if I wanted to go to see family. I didn't have any family, but I had Lancelot from my city that they came to Israel before the war. And I went to see it, and then came. Everybody told that I'm the richest guy in the world, the Orlinsky, you know. I brought money, but I didn't have any money. I had no money. I had a few suits. I sold them, you know, to have a few dollars. I had the few dollars, the francs, what my cousin gave me in Belgium. This helped me. But in the military, I didn't need much. I came back. They sent me to a gdut. It was the Machal. I belonged to Machal, you know. And
would you like to tell us what Machal is?
What?
What is Machal?
Machal was an organization from different countries with Polish-speaking people. And they gave us, they paid us like £5 a month or something. The others, Israelis, got 3 and I got 5. And they sent me to north of Haifa on the front. I was there a few weeks. At night, a friend of mine died a few days after. Goldstein was his name. Goldstein, he was a Ben Yuchit. And he said in Belgium, I said to him, I said, if you know you're going to get killed, would you go? He said, no. I told him, go back right away, don't go. If you go, if you volunteer, you have to be ready to sacrifice your life, otherwise you're not a fighter. You can't. But if you don't want to die, one boy, Marion Rosenblum, he came left Poland with me, he went back from Belgium. He decided he doesn't want to go. So he died. There was a lot of communists. And then Hashem, something Menachem, that I got sick. I got sick and I got a high fever, maybe 104, 100. It was shaking me. And they carried me for the stretcher from the front to to the office, and they took me to the hospital. I had malaria. I had malaria. Took 7 days. A lot of people died. Like people died, typhus back in Europe, that people grabbed from the Negev there. But I caught the malaria. I ran on the fields and picked up a watermelon and cut it and ate from. They had no water on the Negev. The watermelon was white and start eating, and I was there in the hospital maybe 7, maybe 10 days, and then the nurses were so wonderful. They called me, they feeded me, Habibi, eat. I never forget, I wish I knew the nurse's name. You know, she begged me, eat, baby, eat, and she fed me. And then they sent me to a convalescent kibbutz. It was called Givat Brana. It was a kibbutz, only dairy. It wasn't, but kashrus was 100%, because even, I registered even the army as Dati. You understand? Even I wasn't 100%, you know, but I wanted to be registered as Dati. And that's why they sent me to Givat Brana. I was there a week, built me up, and I came back. They sent me to a camp. Orlinsky was a British camp before the war, and they had there all kinds of military, and it was a prisoners. They had prisoners of war, Arabs. They had over 1,000 Arabs, maybe 1,500. It was called Menachem. Prisoner camp. And I was there while they had to stay on duty. Every 4 hours they changed, day and night. Then I met a guy from Romania. And I went into the doctor Zelnicke, and I told him about me. He liked me, I spoke English, you know, and I told him my background was, you know, he took me into the office. He trained me as a nurse. You know, I gave injections. I gave vaccinations to the Arabs. The Red Cross came and I stayed with the white chalatu, and I was giving vaccination to the Arabs. I couldn't believe it myself. I had no education, but they trained me and I was good. I worked so hard. To the hospital, to the sick. I stayed day and night and helped them and washed them. You know, they had a lot of, you know. So that was a big help.
When did you arrive in Israel? What month?
I arrived here. I arrived in July.
July of 48?
July 48, and I left 9 months later, March, a day before Purim, I left. I said, let me stay Purim there. They said, if you stay another day, you will pay your own fare. They gave me, they gave me a passport right away. My captain called me and he gave me a letter. I have it here. The letter, what I did, how devoted I was. And they gave me a week to see, still look around, travel Israel. And they gave me a ticket to go to Switzerland. They left 5 boys, 3 British and 2 Americans. And they gave us even to go to a nightclub in Switzerland. You know, things, they gave us the best hotel, the best things, you know. And when it came to Geneva, and then we stayed in Geneva, in a hotel, and they had money to live. But when I left Israel, I met people from Lukov. He was a surfer. His name was Orlinsky. They had twin girls, and they gave me an address. The name was, they were related to a lady, to people in Lucero. Their name was Heiblum. Heiblum was a little relative to the Bubba's latte. My great-grandfather married a lady, she was a Heidel. And she gave me a piece of material, they need scissors, they should send her. So I took the whole group, 5, they took a train, they went to Luzern. I come into Luzern and find the address, and I come in and knock on the door. An old lady comes with a scheitel, you know, with a wig. And I said to her, I said, I'm a liquor. She started to shake. She opened the door, her son was in the study. They called me in. They were such wealthy people, they owned restaurants and moving houses. They begged me to stay by them, not to go back to England. So I didn't want to go. I had my mind to come to see this lady, my mother's sister. They had a restaurant, they took us to the restaurant. We ate in the restaurant only, didn't have to pay. We slept, or they gave us the hotel. And then we left. When we left, we were on the train. A lady came up to me straight, she never saw me. That was their daughter. She was a divorcee, and she had a daughter my age, somewhere. And she said, please come off the train. I will give you everything what you need. You know, I said, I can't. She was crying. I didn't want to go. She wanted, you know, back memories from Lukov, you know. And we left. We went to Paris. I was in Paris a few days, a few Lancelot. And the last day, I went on the boat to go back to England. I came there, the one who checks the tickets, he said, you're a very lucky guy. Another day, could never get back to England. The last day, I came back to England. I didn't go back to, I didn't have where to go, but I met a lady, her name was Mrs. Lubrin. Her husband was still alive, an old man, very old, you know, like in the late 80s. She was from Lukov. I used to go to see her. And I come back. So where shall I go? I took the cab and I went to that lady. And I stayed by them for a while. But she was so nice, too nice. I couldn't stay with her. Igna shall come, have this, have that. I didn't want to oppose on old people. I wanted to help them. And I stayed a few months. Yeah, after about a month later, when I came back to England, to them, I had a letter from my aunt and papers to go. I had papers from the American embassy. The same month, I went to the embassy and I had papers to go to the United States. Yeah, when I left them, I took a flat with Marion Rosenblum, the other guy. He lived in Golders Green, and we stayed a few months till I came. I had some other friends that came from Poland. I used to be invited. David List, you know, his whole family, had a sister there. They used to invite me for Shabbosim, and then I left there from Kippur. I went on the boat. I'm not in Kippur. I left, I went to Southampton there in London. I was there in Kippur, I went to Dublin, to a shul. A friend of mine came with me, stayed with me. And then what's in Kippur, I went on the boat. I came with the Queen Elizabeth. And I arrived here on 1950. On Sikkis, on Yom Tov, the first day Sikkis, and that's I came to my aunt and uncle. They lived like 100 years. In Likkeva they didn't live like that. Very starkly, he was a wonderful man. He learned day and night. He made ties. My aunt made handkerchiefs. They were not rich, not poor.
Where did they live?
They lived in the Bronx, Simpson Street. in two rooms, 2.5 rooms, 20 cockroaches there. I helped them. I helped them. I washed the floor for them. When I stayed with them 5 months. I couldn't go. I couldn't leave. I got a job right away.
What did you do?
I got a job. I don't know if you had Lilliet Brazier Company. Yeah, very good company. I went. Yeah, I took the job. Yeah, and they start me off $35 a week. That time, $35 a week. A month later, they doubled me with a salary. In 1950, I made $70. I became right away a foreman. We managed all the accessories and things. I was capable. I was capable with education, whatever I had. Believe me, if you had your masters, you couldn't do what I did.
And how did you meet your wife?
Yeah. So when I arrived, I knew that Likeve, our landslater in the States. I called up, got the address, I looked up in the telephone book, I found Jack Walland. It was a landslot, my sister-in-law's landslot. Then he told me that Pasternak, Malcolm Pasternak, and I went to see them the same week, and they said to me, Walland said to me, you know, there's a nice girl. Her brother is married to his wife's landslot, Walland's wife. I want you to. I took her telephone and I took her out. Then when she came, she met my Sarah. When I came in to this man, I came into the door with her. She said, "That's the one." Those. And Baruch Hashem, thank God, I was very lucky. Without her, I don't think I could have a family like that. Her background is also like mine, Hasidish. And the beginning, they weren't religious, but then they decided that's the way it has to be. And they have to, you know, and they had to send the kids to yeshiva right away, to kindergarten, to everything. I couldn't afford it. I was paying high tuitions, but I managed. While I was working for Lilliet, they had 150 people, maybe 200. I started to peddle, to sell. I went into the east side, I made some connections. I sold nightgowns and underwear and stockings and jewelry, and I made more than what I made in the salary. And Baruch Hashem, thank God, I made a living. I sent the kids to yeshiva university. They did, I did the best what I can.
And where did you live most of the time?
They lived in the Bronx. But then my wife had a brother in Los Angeles. She wanted to go to LA. I quit my job. And I bought furniture here, apartment in the Bronx. They moved to LA. Came to LA, I had only one child. Jay was 12, 13 months old. Came there, took a job. It didn't work out, I didn't like it. Thank God I came back. Otherwise, my kids, because I don't think my family would have been the children the way they are if I would live those years in LA. We came back, got another job. I walked into a factory from Brazil, told them what I know. They hired me, but they told me, "You are Shomer Shabbos?" I said, "No, I can't work in Shabbos. Why not?" They hired me $55 a week. I needed the job. This was in '53. And they kept on nagging me. And I didn't know anything about cutting. I became a cutter. And I was right away in charge for a department store and two-way stretchers. And after a while, the boss liked me. I told him this is the case. I can't work on Shabbos. I told them I stay by relatives there. So I said, you want me to work for you? It's good. If not, he said, it's okay. They used to tell me time when I have to leave on Shabbos. And I became the head cutter there. I made nice money. I worked for this company 27 years until they went out of business. They went out of business. I got a better job, $200 more in a week for Perrette corsets. Only very expensive, like for Hollywood style, you know, very expensive lingerie. And I was there a head cutter. I had 8 cutters. Production, $20 million a year business. I was there 5 years till they closed. The boss sold the business to 2 Gentiles, 2 lawyers, and they went broke. When they closed it, I was out of a job. I was age of retiring. What do you do then? I'm only 55 years old. I came here. I was 10 years younger. I went to the Social Security and told them my story. They said to me, you can't do it. I had that check from the Polish consul that my wife went 2 years ago. 2 years ago to apply, they should send me my birthday certificate. I had it, I lost it. Lost a case of suitcase coming from Israel. And I went to the Polish consul again. They said, you can't, you have to wait till you're 65. I'll be 75. And 3 weeks later, I had my birth certificate. And I went there, and they gave me Social Security. They sent me back even money, maybe $6,000 or $5,000 back pay. That, you see, everything is Menachem. I had to come to be 10 years younger. If I wouldn't, the second job when I lost, they would have never hired me. A man of 65. I was only 55. You understand? They hired me, I was 55. And I made their clothes, it was hard for me to retire because I was a very active man in cutting, making markers. I made markers, I did grading.
Okay, we're going to end the tape now.
Yeah.
Thank you.